Hey, what is up internet? Welcome back to the channel. Pixel 6a is in the house. I've been using this guy for about 4 days now, all thanks to my man Rohit. Go check out his YouTube channel. He was kind enough to give me his Pixel 6a, and I know there has been a lot of hate around this phone. The 60Hz display, the plastic bag, and then there was this whole fingerprint scanner debacle, right? But I think most people out there are just really bummed that this Pixel 6a comes in at rupees 44,000. So after using this phone for about 4-5 days, does it really justify that price tag? Let's find out. मेरे हिसाब से the USP of the Pixel 6a is its compact form factor. Now इसमें हमें एक 6.1 इंच की 1080p OLED डिस्प्ले देखने को मिलती है, and even though it's not as compact as the Galaxy S22 thanks to the thicker bezels, it still feels really nice in the hands. Now I have this case from Spigen, and even if I put it on, it still feels really compact and far more compact than the competition at this price point. Now the back is made out of plastic, no denying that, but it doesn't feel really that cheap at all. Now the only downside of having a plastic bag is that it will get scratched very easily, but otherwise the phone has that heft and it will feel very premium as well. Now apart from that, the Pixel 6a looks very identical to the 6 and 6 Pro. So you have that two-tone finish at the back, then you have the very similar looking camera bump as well. The speaker grills are at the bottom, but for some reason Google decided to swap the power and the volume buttons on the Pixel 6a. Again, not really sure, and yes, eventually you will get used to it, but even after using this guy for 4 days, I still accidentally pressed the power button to turn on the phone. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the 60Hz refresh rate, because लोग बिल्कुल बौखला गए थे कि how could Google give a 60Hz display on a phone that is priced at rupees 44,000. Now first things first, I agree, I think Google could have easily given 90Hz if not 120Hz, because this is Google we are talking about, right? It's not some random new company. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. And even though I did get used to the 60Hz refresh rate like after a couple of days or so, it is still not a great experience, because if even once you use that 90Hz refresh rate display, you will not feel like using the Pixel 6a again. Again, don't get me wrong, it is not as bad as people are trying to portray on the internet. It is still your normal 60Hz refresh rate, and if you're coming from an iPhone 13 or any other Android phone which also had 60Hz refresh rate, you will not notice any difference at all. Now keeping this aside, the display otherwise is great. मुझे इसके colors काफी ज़्यादा अच्छे लगे. It can get really bright as well, at least more bright than the Nothing Phone 1 I recently reviewed, and it's also sharp, but there is also that green tint issue, at least on this unit. Again, it's not very apparent, but अगर आप एक बार भी वो notice कर लो, you can't unsee it after that. Now I know there are more downsides of including a 60Hz display than ups, but if there has to be one upside, it has to be the battery life, and the battery life on the Pixel 6a, at least for me, is amazing. Now it comes with a 4410 mAh battery inside. Now if you start at about 8 AM in the morning with 100% charge, you will easily have about 20% by the end of the day. I was easily getting 6 hours of screen on time. The only complaint, or rather disappointment at this point, is that it only supports 18-watt charging. And there is no charger, of course, but even if you get a third-party charger, the maximum you can get is 18 watts. Also, there is no wireless charging. I think Google could have easily given that as well. Now, another reason I feel the battery life on the Pixel 6a is great is because of that Tensor chip. Yes, it's not the most powerful chip out there, but it's good enough and even great for a phone like Pixel 6a. Now, don't get me wrong, it can get a little warm, and even more warm if you're doing like shooting some videos outdoors under the sun or playing games like Call of Duty. It can get really warm as well, but it is not as bad as the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 I have on my Galaxy S22. Now the only thing I didn't really like here is the fact that Google went with just one variant only. So you can get the Pixel 6a with only 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage. That's it. Anyways, I think the bigger talking point here is the software. We all know that Pixel 6 and 6 Pro didn't have the best time dealing with Android 12 and updates, right? And I would say when I started using the Pixel 6a with Android 12, it was kind of a similar story. Like, we are still waiting for the latest security patch on the Pixel 6a. Then the animations kind of felt jittery to me as well. And then there was that whole issue of the fingerprint scanner. So for the unintended, some of the users, not all, are facing this issue where even if they have registered just one fingerprint on their Pixel 6a, they were able to unlock it any of their other fingers, or someone else could just go and unlock their phone as well. I know this sounds very scary, especially when it's coming from a company like Google. But hear me out. Android 13 for the Pixel 6a is now out. I installed it and it seems to have fixed most of the issues. Now, I didn't face any app crashes after installing the Android 13. The animations were a little more smooth as well, and the fingerprint scanner bug is no longer there. Don't get me wrong, the fingerprint is still very slow, but that bug is now fixed on the Android 13 beta. And on top of it, you get all the Pixel exclusive features like the live translation. I have also been enjoying the audio recorder app on the Pixel 6a as well. And then there is something called rules, where you can just put your phone to ringing or vibrate when you reach your office or a specific location, kind of like Bixby routines. But all in all, what I would say, Android 13 beta is more stable than the last public release of Android 12 on the Pixel 6a right now. Okay, moving on to something that has always been very stable on the Pixel phones, the cameras. Now at the back we get two cameras. One is this 12 megapixels primary camera, which as a matter of fact is the same sensor as we had on Pixel 2. But never mind, we also have a 12 megapixels ultra wide camera. And I think you already know this, but the pictures taken from the Pixel 6a are great. I think they are top notch even for a price of rupees 44,000. The colors really pop out. It also handles the exposure really well. And I think a good smartphone camera is the one where you have to put the least amount of effort to get the most amazing shot. And I think if we talk about that, Pixel 6a tops the chart for me. Now, if I have to nitpick, I would say the wide angle camera sometimes is a little too aggressive when it comes to HDR or post image processing, but otherwise I think this camera setup is solid. Now on the front we also have a 10 megapixel selfie camera, and again it's not too good or too bad. It does its job, but the Google post image processing is doing its magic here as well. Now if I talk about the videos, I was actually very impressed given how Android phones have usually been when it comes to video recording, right? So at the back you get 4K and 1080p at 60 FPS, and I'm not sure if you really like the video quality, but the stabilization was. Now this is the camera sample from the front camera of the Pixel 6a. Again, it's 1080p, 30 FPS, not really justifying the price tag here, but do let me know what do you think in the comment section below. Okay, final couple of bits before I can wrap this up. The haptics on the Pixel 6a are great, and I think that has a huge role to play to make this phone premium, even it is made out of plastic at the back. I also like the speaker quality as well. It is not as loud as Nothing Phone 1, but the quality is definitely better. Now my unit with the latest Android 13 beta still does not have 4G plus or carrier aggregation, but I think I read it somewhere on Twitter that Google will push it through an OTA update. And finally, there's one more weird thing I noticed with the Pixel 6a. Not sure if it also happens with other Android phones, but whenever you're on a video call with Pixel 6a, the front camera has this weird black border that makes it look even more bigger than it actually is. Again, not really sure if it's a big deal for you. It's not for me, but I thought it's worth mentioning. Okay, hear me out. Pixel 6a is a great phone, but I think they really messed up with the pricing. Even with the Axis Bank card offer, you can get this for rupees 40,000, and even at that price, I think it is slightly overpriced. So if I were you and I could wait, I would wait for at least a couple of months for that Flipkart Big Billion Day sale or any other sale and see if I can get it like for about 36 or 37k. But on the other hand, if you really need a compact Android phone with stock Android and probably one of the best cameras at this price point, this is really not that bad. Okay, before you leave this video, I know a lot of you are confused between the Pixel 6a and the Nothing Phone 1. I did actually review the Nothing Phone 1. You can check that video out here. And I'm also planning to do a detailed camera comparison between the Nothing Phone 1 and the Pixel 6a. So if you are interested in that, go subscribe to TQnet and especially hit that bell icon so that you don't miss out on that video. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter because I do share a lot of updates there as well. But you know the drill. Keep asking, and I will see you in the next one.